Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is June the 13th. Glad you're with us here on Morning in the Valley. I'm Jeff Bidwell. A little change from the normal itinerary here on the program today. Just me, no guests. This will be an abbreviated, and I hear the applause from around the Midwest of this fine country, an abbreviated version of Morning in the Valley today, as I have, as soon as we get done and wrap things up, I will be headed to Omaha, Nebraska to take care of radio duties for the Murray State baseball team as they play in the College World Series tomorrow, 1 o'clock against UCLA, opening things up there in Omaha for the first time ever. So the team got there on Wednesday, and by all accounts, look like they're having one heck of a time being America's sweetheart here over the last 48 hours. First Valley team to make it to Omaha since the Artist, formerly known as Southwest Missouri State, back in 2003. So hopefully the Racers can hang around for a little while. They've already gotten a head start on the Jello shot competition there in Omaha. Saw LSU came on strong last night, but there's a lot of great little intricacies to the event there in Omaha that I'm very much looking forward to taking part in once we get up there. So, without further ado, let's just hop to the headlines of the morning. And hey, it's June 13th, but we are still adding players to our rosters for the 2025-26 season, and that starts with our friends at Murray State, as they have gotten a commitment from a 6'9" forward from France. Roman Doman is coming to Murray. We don't know when yet, and we'll get to that in just a moment. As we've seen with many of these international players, Doman is older. He will be 20 in October, so certainly old for a freshman coming in. Started playing in the developmental leagues in France at 16 and has been playing in the top professional league in France here this past season. And not only was on the team, but was playing. He averaged about 17 minutes a game, about 6 points and 3 rebounds a night. So he has been playing with the best talent in France as of late. So there is a lot of high expectations with him coming to Murray State. I've seen, and look, this is it is June 13th. It is way early, but there have been some, corners of the market, of the internet market, that, pay attention to international ball and say this kid could be a sleeper for the draft next year, which is on its face kind of crazy talk, but certainly everybody at Murray State, if Roman Doman ends up being a guy that is draft worthy, that will certainly be a slam dunk signing from first-year head coach Ryan Miller. So for Coach Miller now, 13 scholarships are set. There are still 2 more to fill. As he said last week, he expected those to be both international players as well. But for now, they are at 13, and Doman is lucky number 13. The question is, when will he come to Murray? When will he be able to arrive in Murray? Much like Matisse Corbin, who signed also out of Lyon, France last month, he has not arrived on campus yet either, and that is in large part, and really the only reason, is due to the fact that the U.S. government right now has paused all student visas for international students coming to the United States, and they are going through a more detailed vetting process and all of that. We don't need to get into those political weeds, but for the main point here is that those visas have been paused, and so we don't know when these guys are going to get here. So that is the main question. The international players, really up until, and we're going to get to this in the next part of the conversation, is there are student visas, there are work visas, and one of the reasons that these international players, on top of the fact that they're very good, and there are great players all around this world, that you come to the United States, and what you have is they are not able, with a student visa, they are very limited on what they can do in terms of work and working, and so they really almost weren't eligible for NIL. And so at a time when you had teams that are, scrambling and trying to make the most of limited NIL resources and bolster their roster, you have seen programs on the men's and women's side go overseas and try to bring kids in and to sort of work around the NIL part of it because hey, they don't go towards your budget. So that is changing a little bit. And again, we'll get to that in just a moment, but that has really upped the sort of influx of international talent into this league here in the last year or two. But right now, for the newest kids that have signed that don't have their visas yet, that is paused. And we don't know when that is going to be unpaused, but we will certainly keep an eye on that moving forward. The part about this that is uh, the money part. Yes, international student athletes not eligible for NIL. But now that the House settlement is done and we now have revenue sharing so basically schools simply can pay their student athletes if those schools have opted in to the House settlement, that there is a belief from the NCAA that these international students can be part of revenue sharing because they're not necessarily working. Because again, NIL is supposed to be pay for play. It's supposed to be some sort of quid pro quo of I will do something for you, Mr. Business Owner, and you will give me money, in terms of whether it's signings or going to corporate event, whatever it may have been. Yes, it kind of drifted away from its original concept going in, but that was the point. And hey, we can't have these international student athletes working for that. But now with the just rev share, it's just straight pay to play. So Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, was talking with Ross Dellinger at Yahoo and said the NCAA believe that international student athletes can receive a portion of the revenue share, and which is obviously it's great for them. But it's just part of the equation that these athletic departments are going through. But the key word in that sentence, of course, is believes that can happen. Baker's saying that the NCAA still has work to do on ensuring that is the case and that they are seeking legal counsel on that. So as we have seen countless times here in the last couple of years, legal counsel never awesome because there will be a lawsuit coming at some point, but they are trying to get ahead of this and ultimately in the look. The House settlement, something has been worked on forever, but certainly up against it here. It needed to kind of be enacted by the end of June, and so this was one of the stray pieces that they didn't tie up the loose end, I guess, at the end of, oh yeah, what are we going to do about this? So they're trying to get that finalized and figure out if those international student athletes are able to receive some of the revenue sharing. The House settlement is approved, and as one would expect, there has now been a bump in the road, and that bump in the road comes down to a lawsuit because of course there's going to be a lawsuit. And this was inevitable. No matter what corner of the globe that this was coming from, this House settlement was not going to be a blanket rubber stamp from everyone going, this is awesome, thank you, and let's move along. There are 8 female student athletes who are making a Title IX appeal in their lawsuit, arguing that the House settlement is depriving women of $1.1 billion of this settlement. The settlement is roughly it's $2.7 billion overall for back damages being paid to kids that did not get NIL money from 2016 to 2024. Now, there is a formula in place for how that money was going to be distributed, but ultimately 90% of that 2.7 billion was going to be paid back to football players and men's basketball players, with the reasoning and rationale being that those are the players that historically generate the most television revenue. They star in the video games and all of that, and that's why they are going to be paid back. Guys like Joe Burrow, guys like Baker Mayfield, guys that were, Heisman Trophy winners and so on, just from the football side. But they are the ones that are going to get the majority of that money. And that is, of course, again, why they are expected in whatever this formula that was put together that they would receive the most money. These 8 female student athletes arguing that with Title IX that we should be splitting the money 50-50 between men and the women, and that's why the 10% should be more 50%. That is their argument. And so while that, again, the lawsuit was inevitable to happen from somebody, it has now happened. And so these back payments, which were supposed to start within 45 days of the House settlement being approved, and that would have been July 21st, the first payments were supposed to be coming out. Those payments have now been paused as this lawsuit has come through. So no timetable, certainly, of when this is going to be done through the court system, and they're going to figure out what the heck's going on. But the rest of the revenue sharing model is moving forward. So all the schools that have opted in can start paying their players on July 1st. But everybody from 2016 to 2024 that was hoping to see some checks coming in, they of various shapes and sizes, they're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. All right, the off the court stuff is done. Let's talk about some on the court stuff, and that is in Henderson, Nevada, as we have we're starting to piece together the Jack Jones Classic. It's 3 games last year, 3 games in 3 days out in Henderson. It's about 15 minutes south of Las Vegas on December the 13th. We told you on Wednesday, Murray State will play Akron in that Jack Jones Classic. Game number 2, John Rothstein reporting, it's Arizona State and Santa Clara. Santa Clara played in this event last year as well. So if you are heading out to Vegas on December 13th, you start to put the field together for a multi-game day there in Henderson. December 13th, also apparently a very good day in terms of neutral site games for Missouri Valley Conference teams, as our friend Rocco Miller is reporting that plans are being finalized. This is not final, but they are being finalized for Illinois State to play Utah State on December the 13th. That's a Saturday out in Salt Lake City. And there'll be a couple games there. I think Utah is also playing a game against some other non-Valley team. But Illinois State and Utah State trying to land the plane on getting this finalized. And this is, as I have banged on this drum, and I will continue to bang on this drum throughout the summer, you need good non-conference games. You need good to great non-conference games for this league to elevate itself and get to a multi-bid league again. And Utah State fits like a glove in that department. They were a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. They were 61 in the KenPom last year. Usually the KenPom and the net, by the end of this, they start apart, but by the end of the year, they usually come together. There was kind of a discrepancy in the computers with Utah State. They were 61 in the KenPom. They were 37 in the net last year. That 61, by the way, in the KenPom was their worst KenPom rating in the last 7 years. So, I mean, this is as good of a program coming out of the Mountain West that you could hope for to get a game, a neutral site. Yes, essentially it's a road game for them, playing out in Salt Lake City, but these are the types of games that the Valley has got to be able to get. And kudos to Ryan Peden, however they got this thing figured out to be able to go play out there on December 13th against Utah State out in Salt Lake City. Hopefully that will be officially official here soon enough. In Destin, we knew about the Emerald Coast Classic and the Drake Bulldogs playing in that event, playing the DePaul, Georgia Tech, LSU, part of a 4-team bracketed event, a 2-game MTE down there in Destin, Florida, Thanksgiving weekend, November 28th and 29th. They have released the brackets now, and it will be Drake taking on LSU in the opening round. 14 SEC teams made the tournament last year. LSU was one that did not, but their computer numbers, outside of them finishing, I think they were 14 and 18 last year, but they're, the KenPom 88, the net 89. So you're looking at a top 100 game. And look, Matt McMahon, a former Murray State head coach down there, trying to get that thing going. And if they can go, it is going to be a great game for, even if they can get to the middle of the pack in the SEC. Just the sheer computer numbers, and as we talked about last year, when you get 14 teams in, it's because the way the numbers all worked out, they basically, the SEC, they were all quad one games for all the entire conference season. So you're looking at worst, probably a quad two game here for Drake. Even if LSU is not able to get up to the NOPAC and where they were last year, they're still a top 100 team. So a really good opportunity for Drake right out of the jump to get LSU, and then they would get either DePaul or Georgia Tech coming up on the final day of the Emerald Coast Classic down there in Destin. And finally today, we have some staffing news from Northern Iowa as Ben Jacobson has announced the hiring of new assistant coach Mark Sonnen, and it's keeping it in the family there at UNI, as Sonnen played from 2009 to 2013 for Coach Jacobson, part of that 2010 Sweet 16 team, played on a couple CIT teams, a part of an NIT team, so plenty of postseason experience there at Northern Iowa. He played professionally for a little bit when he got done, came back to UNI as a grad assistant for 2 years from 2019 to 21, then moved over to the video coordinator job for a year, went away, had a couple seasons, 3 seasons as a Division II assistant coach at Minnesota Duluth, and then at Drury over in Southwest Missouri. But now he is back as the newest assistant coach for UNI, and I love it when they bring the guys back. Especially when they are guys that are now working under coaches that they once played for. I think that's awesome, and guys that can come in, they know the culture, they've been part of the culture, and they can just try to get that. Certainly Sonnen was there in one of the best eras of Northern Iowa basketball, that 2010 run, being able to get to the Sweet 16. So neat for Coach Jacobson to bring him back, and I know he's got to be excited to be back at UNI and part of that staff as they get rolling and getting ready here for the 25-26 season. All right, an abbreviated morning in the Valley today. I appreciate you being with me. And again, as getting ready to head to Omaha, we will see what's going on Monday. Murray State, win or lose tomorrow against UCLA, will be playing their second game in Omaha on Monday, and I will still be there, but we will likely be bringing you this show on Monday morning from a to be determined. I don't even know the hotel yet that we're staying at. The team's at in Omaha that I'll be staying at, but we will be back on Monday morning. Hopefully with a guest, but we'll keep you posted on that. If you haven't done so already, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the program. Just search out Morning in the Valley. Subscribe, like, share. It's all free, really, as much as anything. It just gives you some notifications when we go live. And on the page, we've got all the past shows up there, interview clips, and so on. So if you ever miss us, you can always catch up on all the great talks we've had with the coaches and players and media that cover this great league. All right, that does it for this morning on this abbreviated Friday morning edition of Morning in the Valley. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and let's root on that Racer baseball team in Omaha, see if they can stick around for a little while and represent the Valley for, I don't know, as long as they can stay there out in Omaha. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you Monday here on Morning in the